Hello, hello, welcome to Leap Taken. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And today I want to talk about a subject that's kind of fun because I just want to clear it up, the miseducation of a witch. So basically, things that aren't necessarily true about witchcraft and witches, things of that nature for the most part. So now I'm looking down at my notes. So these topics are around witchcraft, and there are topics that are usually repeated, honestly incorrect, possibly even dangerous, or simply just misguided facts, right? Or information, I should say, not facts. Here's a disclaimer. I am, and I'm going to get my paper out. I am coming with more than a decade of being a practicing witch, okay? No one has all the answers, including myself. And I'm hoping to inspire and get witches and wannabe witches, and that's not a bad thing, by the way, information that they may be able to use. And basically just sort of help you get on this path, help you to want to stay on this path. Because honestly, sometimes the misconceptions, myths, just outright incorrect information can throw people off the whole path of paganism, witchcraft, because without anyone to sort of confirm and help you, you just don't know that, it's what you thought or what you've been told is a bunch of BS. And it could be throwing you off on what you could be doing instead, where you could be focusing. Anyway, let's get into it. So some misconceptions. The idea that you have to work with a god or goddess. For most of the years I've been practicing, I didn't work with any specific goddess specifically. I remember when I started in Wicca, I wanted the idea of God and goddess. That was very much into it. Now, I was coming off of the idea that I really wasn't comfortable with the idea of a god, let alone too much any, honestly, deity, because I don't know. At that time, I do know, at that time, I wasn't really about that life. I was like, I need to find out this. I need to find out my own inner power and who I am and what I can do, as opposed to relying and invoking on this other being, these other beings, these other deities, right? So I practiced witchcraft. I learned, I studied, and practiced and had success in rituals, spell work, and so forth, just fine for many years, more than half of the amount of time I've been as a practicing witch. I did not have any sort of deity work that I consistently did at all. I didn't. So that's a common misconception, is that you have to pick a goddess, pick a god, or both, or several. You don't have to, first of all, let's just be clear, you don't have to do nothing. But that is something I can tell you right now. You can come into this and not really have any idea what your stance is even on gods and goddesses. You can practice just fine without that. And what comes to mind automatically is hoodoo. Hoodoo is not a practice where you need to have a god. Now, people throw you off because they start talking about, oh, well, go to Psalms something or other. And if you think of going to Psalms, you think of going to the Bible, right? And then the Bible represents Christianity. In Christianity, they talk about the one true God. Not my words. That's what the book, that's what it teaches, right? Side note, one true God. Oops, I'm flying about one true God. They didn't say there were no gods. That's why I like to, just, not that I'm using the Bible for any sort of confirmation on anything, but just saying. Somebody recently was in my comments telling me to repent and all that, so there you go. Anyway, so no, you don't need a deity. Let's just be clear. You don't need it. Nice to have if it makes sense for you. It didn't make sense for me in my practice. Do I feel like I missed out? A little bit, knowing what I know now, but things happen for a reason, right? I needed to be there mentally and emotionally, spiritually, to accept that exchange of working with the deity. And I don't think I was ready for that, because I had a lot of leftover stuff from Christianity to work through. So, ancestors. Oh, you got to set up your ancestor altar. What if I don't like my ancestors? And I know I've heard people say this. What if your ancestors, your whole lineage is problematic as F? Well, you don't have to do nothing. You don't have to work with your ancestors. You don't have to set up an altar. You don't have to give. I speak a lot about my work because I do work with my ancestors. Um, but I can appreciate those who don't want to. Or more importantly, if you don't know any of the family lineage, you're adopted. Yes, in theory, but it might not resonate with you. And therefore you don't do it because it feels empty. You know what I mean? Like there's these, I know I'm connected to people, there's a bloodline, but I have no idea how. And maybe it doesn't feel, you don't feel a connection. So maybe you've tried it, you just don't. It's okay. You don't have to keep doing this. Um, it's one of those things. Again, I didn't for a good amount of time. I did no ancestor work because one, I was learning witchcraft piecemeal, piece by piece on my own. For the most part, I had people along my path who helped me, but for the most part, I was kind of putting a lot of this together and trying to make it work for me, the concepts that I was learning. And ancestor work was not something that I learned immediately. So it wasn't a priority. They came to me. I was going through something and they came to me. In one of my older videos, I talked about being haunted. I might do a new video on that just to kind of bring you guys back up because it's a very real thing. If somebody else told me that, I'm like, wow, that's, well, I'm from Jersey. I would be like, wow, that's crazy. But it happened to me. It really did. I'm laughing about it because it's so absurd that this happened and it's my fault. I left myself totally open, piecemealing, lack of knowledge of fully understanding protection work and what that means. So long story short, I was hanging out with some in-person witches up in the mountains of Tennessee, and I brought home a little something something and got haunted for months in my sleeping hours and eventually in my waking hours. I was seeing like a figure walking by, and I'm thinking it's someone in a house. And at the time, I remember it just being me and my son. And I was like, "Oh, are you upstairs?" And I asked him to do something. He was like, "I'm not up. What are you talking? I'm not upstairs." I think he yelled. I mean, it's not like a comment. He was like, "No, I'm downstairs." And I was like, "But I just saw him." I was like, "Weren't you?" And then I ran downstairs. "Weren't you just here?" And he's like, "No." Long story short, it was just madness. And try being haunted in your sleeping hours is terrifying because you don't get enough sleep. And I legit thought I was being killed every night. So, not fun times. And I would wake up my whole household because I thought I was first rational, practical minded Mika, thought I was having a night terror and I was just dealing with some subconscious stuff. And I tried to really associate it with that, but then it was like not really adding up and there was some other stuff happening. And it just felt like a real haunting supernatural experience. Anyway, with that being said, you don't have to work with any ancestors, so I'm gonna get off of that. Like I said, I might come back with a more detailed story. Let me tell you, that was a real life situation for me and I will never forget it. And it has shaped my ideas of witchcraft. But anyway, my ancestors came to me. That was the point of me bringing it up. My ancestors came to me through a dream where they were there. And it wasn't immediate because I didn't really work with them. So I didn't think of it like that. But then I realized, because it happened more than once, they were saving my behind from getting killed every time in this dream and from these attacks. Like they came on and they helped me. So yeah, I've been rocking with them since then. Anyway, twin flames. Let me take a sip of water on this one. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Okay. If you don't, okay, we're going to just say twin flames, soulmates. People don't want to say it anymore. Twin flames is more, relevant. If you don't get the concept, if you're not open to the concept, you don't believe in the concept, at least the way it's presented, that's fine. This idea, that part of we'll say spirituality, because people who are not necessarily calling themselves witches or practicing witchcraft, they use this term. If it's important to you, that's awesome, but not everyone has to subscribe to this concept. And more importantly, even if you're open to the idea of twin flames, that concept, it's basically, it's above, it's like, think, I mean, the best way I'm gonna explain it, just think soulmates on a 10. I'm very simplistic, making it very simple, the definition, but for lack of time, we'll just go with that. Anyway, even for people who might be open to that idea, the idea that one, you only have one, and the other concept of it has to be romantic. Um, there are people in my life who I feel like there is a deep connection that I can't explain. Like there are just so much overlap of, the same, and like we are just so compatible, but it is a platonic situation. And I'm heterosexual, so it's a same sex person. So it's not anyone that I actually have any romantic connection with. Is someone else, or and then what about family? There are certain family members where we have a deep connection that is like, and we're not even true siblings. How do you explain that? And I feel like these people, we were meant to be in the same bloodline. We were meant, to be together, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, and that there is a spiritual connection there. Like we empathize in a way that others maybe can't, with each other. Anyway, it's a deep soul tie connection. So just saying. And what if you never experienced that? There's this idea that one day we all fall in love. Real talk, not everybody falls in love, at least not in a way that they think. Do you know how many adults are walking around here like, I mean, I guess I fell in love? A lot of people can't even quantify or define what love is, let alone falling in love. There's a lot of men walking around like that right now. I think that's why we have a lot of the issues that we got going on, because things have been so convoluted on what love is and what it means and all that sort of stuff. Mix that in with modern society and the demands of just modern living. I think we're all really I think we're going through a redefining moment right now in general in the world on what relationships look like, marriages, love, all of that sort of stuff. So the idea of twin flames right now is just not making sense to you. That's fine. It's not a necessary thing. Karma. Ooh, child. Let's talk about karma. The karma listen, I'm guilty of this too, where I'll say things like, oh, karma got her, somebody goes off on you. Let's say you're in a business situation and they say something to you and they walk out and trip. Oh, karma got her. We all do that. The reality of it is the concept of karma is supposed to be a little bit more deeper than that. And it has to do with like past lives and all that sort of stuff, and, reincarnation and all that. So I'll say this. If karma works in the way that the popular definition of karma working, then how come people are still the families of like Carnegie and Rockefeller and, the names I don't even know because it's so beyond my idea of concept of wealth. The people who own Similac, how are they thriving? Why are families just thriving? They just live comfortably and, they got access to decent health care and like organ transplants and, how come like Wells Fargo and, I'm just thinking of like these big banks and insurance companies who, made sure to have insurance to the white landowners or property owners, or excuse me, slave owners. How come all these big institutions and the families and the shareholders and the people who invested in them, their families are living good? They're, even if they get cancer or they get sick, like they get medication, they get help. I'm not saying that these people don't get to have the human experience and don't get their heart broken and have inconveniences in life, but I'm just saying they're all right. If karma worked, none of that would happen. I don't know. I just kind of feel like that. I take it a little deeper than that. How come, and then, I've had this conversation with people and they said, well, you don't really know what's going on. I know that if they get cancer, they got help. Where if right now I tell you me or mine, it's going to be some obstacles. We're going to have to fight, health insurance companies. We're going to have to go find the appropriate doctor. We're Black, so that's a thing, because it is. I experience that on a regular basis whenever I go to a doctor's office. People seeing you as a full human with real, pain. Your skin is not tougher somehow because there's more melanin. So that thing. I'm just saying, if karma worked, none of that, like, to me, that wouldn't be a thing. Just saying. So also, I don't get how babies get cancer and are born into families that are hurting them, abusing them, and then their abusers just live their lives and just die peacefully. Like, oh, I'm sorry, because I don't subscribe to the idea of the afterlife in a way that there's the heaven and hell and they'll get it in the end. I don't believe you. We need more people. So anyway, so that's my idea on karma. So obviously, I'm not one of those witches who wholeheartedly agrees with that concept. Not at all. Those are just like my top 4 misconceptions. And I wanted to find really good ones that I know that people, they just kind of sneak in there. It's not one of those things where it's highlighted. So, but believe it or not, this comes up. So let's go over them again. So this idea of you need to be having like a goddess altar or work with goddess energy. If it don't make sense to you and you feel like you've kind of faking a funk, don't do it right now. Maybe you'll never get to that. Maybe it just isn't you. It's not part of who you are. And that's fine. Fun fact, people say, oh, well, we have to have duality, balance, male, female energy, all that stuff, masculine, feminine, divine, all that. For a long time, I've only been working with goddesses. I feel like I can get masculine energy and my spirituality work in different ways. I mean, it depends on you, the practitioner. Me personally, I feel like I bring that masculine energy. It's very much a part of who I am. I mean, I'm a balanced person. We all have masculine energy. So me specifically as a sun sign being Aries, I feel like that's just there. And the way I think, the way I move, the way I conceptualize my spirituality, the way I approach it and how I actually exhibit and practice it, there's probably always going to be a masculine component because it just is. That's just who I am. So I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything by not bringing in a God figure. Okay. So that's okay. And by the way, if it's opposite for you, so be it. As far as the ancestors work and setting up an ancestor altar, please do not feel shame, any sort of shame or anything around that if it doesn't resonate with you. I know like I said, I talk a lot about it. It's cool, but if it's not making sense to you for whatever reason, that it is what it is. Please don't, in the witchy community, you never feel like you have to explain yourself, and don't feel guilt or shame about it. The other thing, this whole twin flames thing, is that concept just does not make sense to you in the way it's presented in most popular thought amongst witches. Feel free to redefine that concept if you so choose to, or don't deal with it. Me personally, I don't deal with it at all. I don't deal with the concept of twin flames. I'm not mad at anybody who does, but for me, I've lived a little bit, okay? I've been out here for a minute. And I've been married more than once, and I've had relationships, short-term, long-term situationships. I've been around a little bit. And I'm gonna just say this. When I was in something beyond a situationship and I really felt something. I'm a girl who loves love. I'm a romantic at heart. I'm, what they say, soft and pink and all that. Like, that's me. So I'm one of those people. Well, before I would kind of just go all in. And this is not a story saying I got my feelings hurt or anything like that. I'm just letting you know I went all in. And the deeper I would fall in was based on, the reaction and what I was getting from my partner. So if I was really in, I felt like they were really in, and our energy was matching. So anyway, if you had asked at that time in each one of those iterations of relationships, I would have told you that was my twin flame. If I had thought about that term at the time, I would have said, I don't know, but it feels right. So there you go. So that's why I say it's hard for me to wrap my mind around that. So, that's just me, but to each their own on that one, right? That's the whole point of this. And then the concept of karma. I don't even know if I subscribe to the concept of karma as it's presented in I guess its true definition. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around that as an African American who is a descendant of people who were stolen from their land, forced into labor, and then raped, and never received reparations whenever race is brought up as far as the atrocities because of our race. Even to this day in 2022, even as you're watching, there's some people who hear this and say, why is she bringing that up? The fact that that's your reaction, right there, there's no karma. Because the fact that that's how you feel if you heard this is like, seriously, I just gave you all that. There's never been any collective therapy. Damn, can I get a discount for therapy? Can you do a program for that? No. The country won't do anything. But there are other groups who have been marginalized, who have received something, but there is something about that melanin that they just, there's just this thing of we just need to let it go when, I see, that's why I just can't get with karma, because there's just too many things that just don't, to me, where was there repercussions of this? I don't see where the repercussions, I don't see the karma. And if it's a lifetime thing, we're talking hundreds of years, y'all. I'm still not seeing the karmic impact of all the stuff that happened hundreds of years ago. I don't see it. So anyway, that's my piece on that. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you seriously want to share any other misconceptions, because other people will see this, especially if you're a seasoned practitioner. Any other misconceptions? If you have some issues with mine, I welcome, please let me know. But that's all I got for today. Thanks so much for watching. Again, I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Consider hitting the join button. I have a short video explaining it. If you're interested in my services, please go to leaptaken.com. All right, bye-bye.